Hello Markham Gardens family, Daniel Markham here with the Markham Gardens. Man, have I got a lot to show you guys today. We've got a whole bunch of stuff going on right now. Sorry it's been a little bit longer since I posted a video, but there's been so much going on and just trying to keep up and stay on top of everything. So anyway, let me show you guys kind of what we're doing today. I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys. First of all, I am super excited about the pond. We finally got the guy to come out to try to dig the pond, and I have got some footage of that happening, of him digging that portion out that I want to show you guys today. And let's go ahead and get to that real quick. Definitely making progress. You can see we've sloped it. Now I will have to come back in here with a shovel and straighten this out to this area. And I'll be digging out a section out to here too. But I'm gonna go ahead and do this by hand because I'm gonna wanna put shelving in here so that we can put boulders and things like that after we put the liner in. But we are just about to the depth that we're gonna be doing. Let me walk down in here and show you guys. So you can see we are down in the bottom of the pond here right now. And so what we're going to end up doing is it's going to come out to this section here. And then you can see that post. There's a post that's right there. And that's what we're coming out to. So this will actually come all the way out to there. And then circle back around to where it is right now. But so far, so good. We're getting the pond dug, guys. All right, guys, so on top of that, on top of the pole pond dig happening, and granted, we're gonna dig out some extra stuff on there. I'm gonna put some shelves, put some aquatic plants. We need to put a liner in. So we've got a little bit of a time window here before we get this stuff done. But I did wanna show you guys what's happening over here on this side of the property. And on the other side of our orchard, we found out, you know, Hurricane Beryl came through, and I had talked to you guys about the fact that Hurricane Beryl had torn down our fence, had snapped an area off. Well, in that process, we ended up finding out that we actually had about 15 to 20 feet more property on the other side of that fence that the previous owner, I guess, decided not to fence in. The other owner, that's our neighbor, ended up mentioning it to us. She said, you know, I wondered why he put his fence so far inside of his property. And so what I have started doing is, you know, this whole Hurricane Beryl thing ended up being a bright side because we ended up finding out that we've got a little bit more property. And so I've started to utilize some of that more property. Let me show you guys real quick. I'll flip you around, show you where the original one was. So this is the fence from the front of the property that he put in, and he put in this giant fence here. It's supposed to be a privacy between our neighbor's house and our property. And this fence came right down here. You can see where the boards were, and then it continued along here all along our orchard. Right down the fence line, you can see the tops of the white T-post right there. That was the line. And so this wooden fence followed all the way down here, all the way down to those T-posts, all the way down to the other side of the property. Well, come to find out, we actually own all of this property that's over here, and it just wasn't fenced in. And so let me show you guys real quick. If you look here on this corner, you can see that concrete pylon right there. That is actually the edge of our property. And you can see how much area is gained from that fence to the line of our property. And so what I'm doing is I'm gonna build a basically an 8-foot fence. I'm gonna use T-posts, and I'm gonna use double stack woven wire. And I'm gonna end up increasing our property and go ahead and fence this area in, and we can turn this into like a little garden area. I don't know if, because it's under a lot of shade, I might do something like a Japanese garden type deal with some Japanese maples and things like that. I don't know. Get it? We're gonna decide what we're gonna do and figure out what we're gonna put over here. But anyway, so all of this old wood, there's a whole bunch of old wood that was rotted out, wasn't any good, and so I'm in the process of burning right now. You can see I've got my spray nozzle just in case it gets out of hand. I can put that fire out wherever it's traveling, but we are gonna go ahead and put in the extra bit of fence that is, you know, our property that we didn't know that we had. So let me flip you around here and I'll show you where we're starting at. So let me get her around our fire here that's going. And so what I've done here, you can see, these are the original T-posts, guys. This is the original line of the fence. And this is where I had originally put in the woven wire fence to attach to the big wooden fence. Well, now that the wooden fence broke, we found out we had more property. So what I've done is I've actually gone from this post here, because all this is forest. And I really don't want to cut all of this out. I want to leave this privacy out here. I love having the forest on the back side, and the neighbor's driveway is directly on the other side of this. And so I don't want to open this up to where it's just a view of their driveway. And so I'm gonna go ahead and leave all this. I'm gonna leave this original fence line, even though we do own about 15, 20 feet more on this side. We're gonna go ahead and leave that part wooded. But right here at the edge where most of the wooded portion stops, I have put in another T-post. And you can see I've gone at an angle across here. So we're gonna keep it at a 4-foot height all the way to this portion here. And this is the corner of our property line. So our property line comes just to this side of this post. And what I've done is gone ahead and put in a 10-foot post, and I've knocked it into only 8 foot sticking above, and I'm gonna put 2 strands. So there'll be 1 strand of woven wire here, and I'm gonna stack another one up on top of there. Of course, we'll have to brace this and everything else, but we're gonna have a woven wire 8-foot fence all the way to the other side over there. You can barely see that pylon right there. So that's gonna run this whole length. And basically we're gonna run flowering vines up this thing. It's gonna be a living wall. Instead of having a giant privacy wall, we're gonna have a living privacy wall running down the whole length of this. And hopefully be able to plant some stuff back here in the back side. And if the fence ever does rot out, ever does go away, then we'll automatically have it fenced back here, no big deal. But anyway, guys, that's what we have going on. So I'm just gonna work through the process, and we're gonna see if we can't burn this pile down that we've got going here. So I'm gonna be working on this, and I'll come right back to you. Well, guys, there's not a lot I can do but stand here and monitor this fire. I'll tell you, if you ever do light a fire out here, especially close to somebody's house like this, you definitely want to be out here monitoring it nonstop and have a way to put that sucker out if you need to. But let me show you where we're at so far. So it is definitely finally caught. It took a little bit. It's definitely wet wood. We had about 3 or 4 days of solid rain, and but it has definitely caught on fire now. heated it up enough and got hot enough that it started drying out some of this wood. But we're just we're slowly making progress. You guys can see it started creeping around here on this back side, started creeping out into the grass. But I went ahead today with the weed eater and took down all of this area so that I can come out here and work on this fence without having to, you know, worry about snakes. You know, we've got eastern coral, and we've got copperhead, we've got cottonmouth out here, we've got all sorts of stuff, rattlesnakes, and I definitely didn't want to get bit. So you can see I went ahead and took the weed eater and weed eated this whole area down, except for the part in the center right there, because I ran out of gas. I have more, but I figured I might as well burn this fire out and get this thing out of the way. And then I'll come in and clear the rest of this out and start working on this fence here. But so cool that we gained a little bit of property. And so I figured since it's ours, I might as well clean it up and get it ready to start, you know, building the garden into. But definitely need to get over here with the weed eater. The orchard is just a mess. You guys can see there's weeds everywhere. There's just towering up all over the place through all of the trees. But orchard's looking great with 4 days of rain, guys. Absolutely beautiful. In fact, while this fire's blazing over here, there's not really much I can do except for let it burn and check it every once in a while. Let me get over here and just show you guys kind of an update of the garden, of the orchard. This is, we've got the plum trees here. You guys can see this one here. I mean, it's towering way, sorry, put you right into the sun, but it's towering way over my head, guys. We're looking at, oh gosh, about 10, 11 feet tall now. And that plum, last time you guys saw it was maybe here. So it's definitely grown a lot. We've got our other Santa Rosa plum. Guys, we're starting to get shade in here. I mean, it's tall enough now, we're getting shade. You can see here our persimmon. Oh, that's interesting. You can see the shadow of a spider through the through that persimmon leaf. I'd go to the other side, but I'm good. We've got the Chickasaw plum here. You can see it's getting hard to see them because they're so big now. It's hard to get them all in the whole picture, but this is one of our peach trees. Guys, let me flip you around with me. Like you can see, guys, I'm 6 foot tall. I mean, look at this peach tree now. Guys, that's only 1 year. Like that's 1 year in the ground. That's how fast these things are growing. But we've got our Vitex going. Vitex is putting out some more blooms now that it's cooling off just a little bit, and loving that. But I think the only one that's really just dwarfed and just kind of sitting here is the Hachia persimmon. And I put that one in for me. The Fuyu's really growing, but this one is just kind of chilling. I'm guessing it's growing more roots right now than anything else. But another one of our peaches, that's the Sam Houston peach. We've got our apricot trees. Oh my goodness. Look at the size of this thing. I mean, just took off. We've got the other apricot here, has always been a little bit slower grower, but even that is taken off. Got the peach tree over here. You can see the red casters down there in the bottom, but oh, let me show you the dwarf, quote unquote dwarf mulberry. So this is the dwarf Texas everbearing mulberry, guys, and this thing is just, so I had put it in last year. This last winter it died all the way back to the ground and had absolutely nothing. And when I mean nothing, like the trunk was dead to the ground, no branches, nothing. This thing came back with 4 branches, and now it is absolutely shading us from the sun right now. This thing is huge, and it has put out a few berries. If I cut it back really hard, it will produce like crazy. It will pop berries all over it. But you can see here, every once in a while, I mean, we're just coming out of the hot season. You can see it will put out these tiny, tiny little berries. Now, I have seen full-size berries off of a clone of this tree that came from one of our neighbors. So I know it produces full-size berries, but it keeps producing these tiny little guys. They're almost not even worth eating. But beautiful tree though. It has definitely grown up. You can see that our little, if you haven't watched our video, guys, on the cheap irrigation system that I put in, guys, this thing is working like crazy. It's works amazing. I'm loving the fact that I can go kick it on. It waters everything, and it was super cheap to put in. I already had the hoses and just had to wind them around every tree. But you guys can see here the apple trees. So we've got the Einsheimer apple definitely starting to shade. This thing put on a lot of growth this year. And the growth season's not done, guys. We're just cooling off out of the hottest summer months and getting quite a bit of rain now. So I imagine that these guys are going to quarter to probably half more of their size before we actually hit winter. But over here, even the one that I thought we were going to lose, guys, this is the cinnamon spice apple. And I thought we were going to lose this, guys. No way. Check this out. I mean, it has taken off. It is growing now, doing really, really well. So super happy about that. The pear trees are growing really, really tall like normal. They're going to grow up like a column, all the fruit way up at the top if I don't train them lower. But I got another one there. And then our little crab apple doing really, really well too. But anyway, let me close out here with the orchard, just showing you guys the banana patch. Guys, check that out. Oh, almost tripped. Check out the bananas. They are doing absolutely amazing. Guys, they're huge. I mean, we're at least 15, 16 feet tall right now, and they're not done. I mean, they are just taking off to really start growing. It's funny because the people that I got these bananas from said that their bananas max out at about 14, 15, sometimes 16 feet. Last year, the first year we had these guys, they capped out at maybe 16 feet. This year, I imagine they are going to grow quite a bit taller. The only one that's not growing very tall is that one back there, and it's because I was told that it's a dwarf banana. That was the first one we ever planted, so a different variety than these other ones. But these are doing really, really well. Have yet to see a flag leaf pop out of the top of any of them, so no fruit yet. If we have a really, really mild winter, we might actually get some fruit. But guys, I'm not really holding my breath, guys. I grow the bananas for fun and because I think they're beautiful, not necessarily to get the fruit off of them. But anyway, you know, it's amazing, Texas, the fluctuation in temperature. I woke up this morning and I think it was like 61 outside. It was beautiful. Came outside, did a whole bunch of work. I just looked at the temperature and it's 90 right now. The fluctuation's crazy. But so I'm sitting up here on the deck just trying to relax and get out of the sun just a little bit. But you can see our fire is still going at it. It's beautiful sitting up here on the deck and just watching all of the trees in the orchard swaying in the wind, and it's just absolutely beautiful. All the growth, it's been amazing how fast and how much it's grown this year. I cannot wait to see what it's going to look like next year. Of course, let's not get ahead of ourselves. We've got a lot of pruning and stuff to do this winter to get everything ready for next year. But yeah, our fire is doing its thing over there. See if we can burn all that down, turn it into good ash, and we'll spread it over that area and get some stuff growing real well. So here it is, guys. It is completely dug out. So we ended up, I talked to him, and originally I had allotted for about 2.5 foot of spacing back here for walking. And after talking with him, and he's done a few of these, he said, you're gonna want a little more room than that. So he went ahead and gave me about almost 5 feet over here before we start sloping into the pond. And I went ahead and took his recommendation because he's done enough of them that, you know, I figure he probably knows what he's talking about. But and then I was letting him know that what I was going to end up doing is building shelves. So out here, it's going to be flat. It'll come out, it'll drop off, and then we'll end up having a shelf. It'll drop off and then into the bottom. And I was telling him how I was gonna start etching out the shelving all the way around so that we can put some boulders in, we can put some feature boulders, some things like that for the pond. And all of a sudden, you know, as I said, he's done this several times. You know, all of a sudden he said, you know what? Well, how are you gonna get all of that dirt out of there? He said, you're gonna end up having to carry all that dirt out with buckets and stuff. How about I dig you a giant trench in the bottom so you can dig out those shelves and just drop the dirt down in the trench and then pack it in. So guys, he dug me a dadgum trench in the middle of my pond so that as I'm etching out the shelving up on the top, so it'll drop down and then a shelf will come out here and then it'll drop down into the bottom. He said, you can take all that dirt that you're gonna dig out of there, throw it right down into that trench so that you're not having to haul it out of the thing. And I'll tell you guys, I was super happy about that because I wasn't liking the idea of having to haul bucket after bucket out of this pond and carry it around, you know, to wherever I wanted it. But what he ended up doing is he ended up piling all the dirt here on the back side. So he pushed all of our good mulch out of this area. He went ahead and pushed it back. And then he put all the dirt up here on this side. And so what I think I'm gonna end up doing with all this dirt is I'm gonna go ahead and raise this section. So here's the top of the pond right here. And really this is going to be the edge of the pond where you walk up to the pond to look into the pond to see the koi, to feed the koi, things like that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and take all of this dirt here and I'm gonna go ahead and fill it in on the back side of the boulders along that top level there. I'm gonna go ahead and fill all that in, and then from here, I will take that dirt and we'll end up sloping it up to kind of a berm and then sloping it out into the garden where then the garden will begin on this back side. And that way at the top of this berm, I can plant some fruit trees that are growing up them, you know, things like that. So it'll put this dirt to some use, and plus if we ever have a situation where this gets so full of water that it's overflowing, instead of flowing down through all the garden willy-nilly and creating new riverbeds and things like that, you know, irrigation's great, but too much causes a major problem. It'll actually contain a little bit more of that water in this area, and this basically this berm that stands up above will scoot right around this area here and then taper out into level into the area where you can look down into the pond. So guys, lots and lots of dreams, and I realize that my finger motions and everything are not necessarily helping you guys to know exactly what I'm looking at. Guys, I'm super happy about this, to have Reds come out and dig this pond for me. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully you guys got something out of this. I'll talk to you later. Shalom under the dome.